What's up YouTube? This is Santos representing Neo Overlay Network, and I'm here to show you a Ancient Gear deck profile. After the release of Legendary Duelist Season 1, there are certain cards that went down in price, however, other cards that went up in price, and I'll show you which ones. And this is a alright deck. It's not competitive whatsoever. It just produces an OTK. It's a glass cannon, as you can see. Ancient Gears are really breaky, but I always had the nostalgia of Ancient Gears when, I guess, Jaden and Crowler first few episodes dueling, and I thought Ancient Gears, their image was pretty cool, so that's why I kind of liked it. So just want to show you guys this deck profile, so let's just get started. So for the first, I ran one Ancient Gear Golem and that one Ancient Gear Ultimate Pound. Just these 1-in-1 because Ancient Gear Golem is a brick, both of them are bricks. When you cannot special summon him, he has to be tribute summon, so normal summon, tribute summon. So he could attack, and when he attacks, he does piercing damage. Now, Ultimate Pound has other few effects that are pretty cool. When he attacks, he could do a second attack if you discard one machine monster from your hand, and when he's destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard, he lets you add a Polymerization and an Ancient Gear monster from your deck to your hand. So sadly you don't run Polymerization and you don't use the last effect, but the first effect comes here and there, and just for alternate I just run two. So now I run two Ancient Gear Reactor Dragon. He comes up clutch when you face back row because he has a few effects. So the first two effects is that first effect, when you use Ancient Gear for a tribute summon to tribute summon him, he could attack twice. And if you use a gadget for a tribute summon, it does piercing damage. So he has those two effects. Now the other effect is that when he attacks, your opponent cannot activate spells or traps until the end of the damage step. So he has that going, and when he attacks, just when he attacks, he could destroy, he could destroy a spell and trap. So that doesn't mean like if it not negates, but like if something happens and when he just attacks, he could destroy spell and trap. So he does come up for those back rows. So for the other three, now I run three Ancient Gear Wyvern because he's your starter. He lets you add any Ancient Gear card when he's normal or special summon. And mostly all the Ancient Gears have that effect when your opponent cannot activate spells or traps, or certain ones they can also not activate monster effects. His, I think, it's just spells and traps. And now he's a hard once per turn, and you cannot set cards for the rest of the turn when you activate his effect. So gotta remember that. So three Ancient Gear Wyverns. For the other three ofs, I use three Ancient Gear Hounds. His effect is when he's normal summon, he inflicts damage, and his active effect when he's on the field is that you could fusion summon one Ancient Gear monster from your extra deck using materials from your hand or field, and use them. So he has that. I think he's a hard once per turn. Oh no, he's not. But he is your Polymerization in your deck. I run other fusion spells, but he's your starter too, just to get out your big boys. So you want to maximize him too. So now for the 2-0s, now I run two Ancient Gear Frames. When he's normal summon, I believe just normal summon, or actually you could just discard one card to add an Ancient Gear Golem to your hand. And that's what you usually do in this deck, because for the other part, it says that you could add something that has Ancient Gear in his text, but I don't have anything like that. So then his other effect is that when he attacks, you cannot activate spell and traps. And if this guy leaves the field by opponent card effect, he could special summon up to three Ancient Gear Golems, ignoring its summoning condition. So you could special summon them because his effect ignores that. So he does come in clutch, but I use them for Ancient Gear names because you do want them in your hands, because you usually do want a fusion summon. So two of him, and then I run two Ancient Gear 9. He's pretty optional, but I use him for Ancient Gear name. He's a Gemini, so he could get an effect, but his effect is just that when he attacks, your opponent cannot activate spells and traps until the end of the battle step. So yeah, just for a name. And then the other last two Ancient Gear ofs, I run 2 Ancient Gear Gadget just for the name. Run 2 his effects. When he's normal summon, you could declare a type, card type. So trap or a spell or a monster effect. And when you declare one of those, your opponent cannot activate that effect until the end of the damage step. And his other effect, you could choose him to declare a gadget name. So it could be any other gadget, but you don't really use that effect. I just use them for the first effect because certain things do come up that you could declare a type and it negates the effect. But he's just here for the name because you do want to have Ancient Gears in your hands to fusion summon. Now for the other engine I run 2 heavy freight train. Was it Dara Crane? He's just here because when you have another Earth monster on your field, you can special summon him and have his attack. And his other effect is that if you use him for when you detach him for an Xyz effect for a material, you could destroy your opponent's card or monster, I think. Yeah, your opponent controls destroy it. So he has that going for it. But sadly, I don't run the train Xyz. I just use them because he's just a Machine Earth, and you want to bring out Ballista, the Ancient Gear card that came out in Dual Overload. So he's just 2 of those and 2 super heavy bullet train. Because the thing with these, I like them and I don't like them because the thing is that they're bricky too. Like if you open up with 2 of them and you don't really, and the Ancient Gear Golem, you kind of stops your turn because they're all bricks, you know. So you can't even special summon anything, and but they're still necessary for this deck because they're all Earth, so you can still special summon. And I run the 1 Anchor Drill. I was fortunate enough to pull one in the Finish Chaser set. So, but the thing is, if I was gonna say anything, I will take out these, or take out 1 and 1 and add these 3, just 3 Infinitrack Anchor Drills, because his effects is, I guess, the best of the whole than the trains, because his effects is when he's normal summon or special summon, you could special summon 1 machine monster in defense position, and it doesn't matter their levels. But obviously Ancient Gears Golem, you can't special summon because his effects that you cannot be special summoned. So, but like Ancient Gear Reactor Dragon, you could still special summon him in defense position using this effect. His other effect is that you could target another monster that you control, and the levels of both of them, their combined levels, equal to each level. So if you have him and another level 4, you target the other level 4, both of them become level 8. So he has that versatility that I like, and I would like to bump up to 2 more, but he is pretty expensive. So, and now for the last monsters, I run 2 Gamma Seals because you want to go OTK. If I had just to make it all Earth, you could use the Earth Kaiju, but Gamma Seal does the same thing. So here you go, just 2 Kaiju, just 2 OTK. Now for the spells and traps. Or spells, actually. This is primarily all spells. So I run 2 Gear Towns and 1 Terraforming. You don't have to run 3 because 3 is breaky. This card doesn't give you anything. It doesn't give you any advantage. You just want to search it using Terraforming or the Ballista, Ancient Gear Ballista that came out in Dual Overload. So yeah, so you just want to search it. His effect is that you could tribute, when you tribute summon an Ancient Gear, a monster, you could just use 1 less tribute. So, but you don't really use that because when it also, the other effect is that when it's destroyed, you could special summon 1 Ancient Gear from your deck, hand, or graveyard. And this, well, you could special summon Ancient Gear Reactor Dragon and any other Ancient Gears except Ancient Gear Golem. So yeah, I'll show you you will use the next 3 Ancient Gear Catapults, because its effect is that when you control no monsters, right? Let me just give you a quick target. When you control, no monsters, you could target 1 face-up spell or trap and destroy it. And if you do special summon an Ancient Gear monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard, ignoring its summon conditions. So you will pretty much use this to destroy your Gear Town, and you have 2 free Ancient Gear normal summons, and you will special summon Ancient Gear Golem if you can. And its other effect is that when it's in the graveyard, you could destroy one card you control to special summon a Ancient Gear token, but you gotta banish it. So that effect comes up here and there, just to have a token out there, an Ancient Gear token actually, and just when you need material for fusion summoning, but that doesn't really come up. And for the next two spells, I run two Ancient Gear Fortress. Sadly, this card is a common that just spiked up in price because the Ancient Gear Fusion and other Ancient Gear Megaton Golem, got a reprint and got really inexpensive now. This card, because it has one printing, it just became too expensive. So, but it's really useful for this deck. So its first effect is that when you normal summon or special summon an Ancient Gear monster, your opponent cannot target that monster with card effects, nor it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. And when your Ancient Gear monster activates an effect, your opponent cannot respond to that activation of that card effect. So it has that, your Ancient Gears have that protection to it won't get effect veilered or imperm or when they activate their effects. You want to see multiples because you could always search it with using Wyvern. And the last effect is that when it's destroyed in the spell and trap card zone, you could special summon an Ancient Gear from your hand or a graveyard, but you gotta respect the summoning conditions. So you can't special summon Ancient Gear Golem. So it is important, but just two is fine. So now for the other two spells, I run two Ancient Gear Fusion. Just two, because obviously the Ancient Gear Hound, that's your extra 3, and this his full effect. To get this full effect is that you fusion summon an Ancient Gear monster from your hand or field, but if you control an Ancient Gear Golem, but you have to control it, so it has to be on the field and you have to control it in order to use other effect that you could use materials from your deck as well. So 2 is fine because you could always search it with Wyvern, and 3, like I said, just you don't want to see multiple spells or traps or whatever when you play this deck, because you just want to see more monster material so you could just fusion. So just 2 is fine. Now for the other spells that I use for fusion, I use Power Bond and Overload Fusion. Power Bond you could add or take out. I just like the fact that you could go OTK if you do have it, see in your hand, and you have materials. Obviously, you could fusion summon a machine and it gains equal to its original tag, and that just gains, but you gotta take damage to the to the original tag, but it just gains it after that. So it has that, and then Overload Fusion, you can just banish materials listed from your graveyard and special summon 1 Dark Machine. So you pretty much bring out I guess what it's called. Let me just check it. What is it called? Ooh, I can't remember. Oh, Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. So yeah, you pretty much use that, and I have Verda Anticonda, so that's only one of it's fine because you don't want too much spells and traps. Now for the other 3 spells, I run 3 Pot of Desires. If I had a little bit more money, I would probably get Pot of Extravagance, because you'll see the extra deck, and that's a better bet than Pot of Desire. But Pot of Desire for a casual, fun build does the same, but you at the cost of banishing your main deck. But it's fine for this build. And now, because I'm going second and I don't own any of those very expensive cards, I run 2 Dark Holes and Raigeki. If I had to choose between this and Lightning Storms, I will want Lightning Storms or Evenly Match, and you could take out these and some of the monsters, so you will have Evenly Match or Lightning Storm. But I will like to have Lightning Storms, but for right now, I'm just running 2 Dark Holes because of the same purpose. I'm going second because you want OTK and you're just trying to, destroy some monsters. And yeah, just going second, and I don't have Lightning Storms. So more budget, I guess. Alright, now for the extra deck. I will start off with the links. So now, for the first link I will show is Nightmare Cerberus. Nightmare Cerberus here, obviously, for Earth and the Nightmare package. So here's just these 2, because you kind of don't want to waste too much space, so they're self-explanatory, I feel. Verde Anaconda, here it is, just for the Overload Fusion. You just gotta pay 2,000 life points, and and it becomes that effect. So he's good in that regards. And now I just run one Mrs. Radiant because they're all Earth, and you want to use her effect to increase your attack. And now for the Ancient Gears, I run two Ancient Gear Ballista. His effect's pretty good when you have, he just needs 2 Earth Machines. So when he's Link Summon, you could add a Gear Town or an Ancient Gear monster to your hand. And that's his first effect. That's when he's Link Summon. Now, you could target one spell and trap card you control and one face-up monster your opponent controls. And if you do, you just gotta destroy your spell and trap. And if you do that, that monster becomes 0 attack and defense. And you pretty much destroy your Gear Town to get that just to summon something else, and you will target your opponent and your opponent's monster, and it'll become 0. So it has that effect, and 2 of him is fine. And now for the other 2, I run 2 Ancient Gear Howitzer. Howitzer here is not really good, but if you need him, he's there. But you don't really need him, but he's just here for Ancient Gear name, and that's pretty much it. But when he's normal or fusion summon, he does 1,000 just damage to your opponent. And when he just gets destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you could special summon an Ancient Gear Golem from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. So he has that when he leaves the field. For the other 2 ofs, I run 2 Ancient Gear Golem because it's all Ancient Gear. So get 1 Ancient Gear and 2 Ancient Gear monsters. When it attacks monster in defense position, it does piercing damage. And when it leaves the field, you can special summon one Golem in your graveyard. So, and ignoring its summon condition. So that's pretty good. So 2 of him, and for the other last 2, I do run 2 Chaos Ancient Gear Giant because he's the potential OTK. You could attack 1 monster or your opponent's monsters once. So you could attack as many because it could attack all of them one time during the battle. During the battle, and he just needs 4 Ancient Gears, and he's unaffected by spells and traps. That's very important because one time I was playing against a Sky Striker, and he was trying to Widow Anchor me or Afterburners, and he's just unaffected by spell and traps in general. So yeah, he's pretty funny like that, and it's pretty cool. So for the last 3 that came out in the Legendary Duelist that I ran, here is Ancient Gear Megaton Golem because it's pretty important. You just need 3 Ancient Gears monsters to fusion summon it, and if you use 2 Ancient Gear Golem to get attacked twice, and its other effect is that when it leaves the field or destroyed by battle, and sent to the graveyard, you could special summon an ultimate Ancient Gear. This guy, from your extra deck. So when he leaves the field, you still have this guy coming back out. So he comes in clutch and 3. And my extra deck is formed to play that Product Extravagance because it does. Product Extravagance for this deck really does wonders. So if you have the money or you already have it, you really should use it. And that's pretty much the deck profile, you guys. Hopefully you guys like it. So it's alright, it's pretty cool. It's OTK potential, so nothing too stunned about that. But yeah, guys, I want to hear what you guys think. It's the Santos representing Neo Overlay Network signing out.